Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rick, and I'm here with a review video. That's right, a review video. So you're going to notice a few things different. The first thing is this cool little microphone here, which was actually sent to me by Movie Chatter, Stephanie over at Movie Chatter. If you guys don't check her channel out or her Instagram, I'm going to link her channel down below. She puts out great videos. She has an awesome movie collection. She collects pop figures as well. She sent me over this microphone that was not compatible with her phone. She reached out to me and asked if I would use it, and I told her I would absolutely give it a try. I've done a few tests with it, and I think it, makes the video sound better. I don't have to talk nearly as loud when I'm recording, and so this is the first video I've actually recorded with it. I actually have 2 more videos recorded that I recorded when I did the room tour and those videos, but I want to put out this video because my goal with the review videos is to do 2 a month, because 1 a month would just be like way too long of a video. So I'm going to do 2 a month, one approximately halfway through the month, and then 1 at the end of the month. So basically it'll be like, this is May part 1, and I'll do a May part 2. I have a few ideas for like a catchphrase or a catch thing on each video that we'll get to when I dive into the video. The other thing I want to mention, if you guys can see this awesome Down to Movie pin, I think it's pretty clear and you guys can see it. I was actually made by my little sister. She's going to start making buttons, not pins, but she's going to start making buttons. So if you guys are interested in having like buttons made, or if you want Down to Movie buttons, she'll be selling them eventually. She has to get some new backs, but she's got a new button making kit, and she's going to be making buttons. So she made me a Down to Movie button, and I told her I would rock it proudly. So her name on Instagram is the Ghostess Hostess. It's actually the_Ghostess_Hostess. She does a lot of like Disney pins, but she also is going to make buttons. So I'll put a link to her page down below. Be sure to go, give her a follow. And like I said, if you guys are interested in having buttons made, Down to Movie buttons, she'll talk to you guys and hopefully work something out. So it's brand new for her. She just got the machine yesterday, and one of the first buttons she made was mine. So I appreciate it very much, Sarah. So we're going to get right into the reviews. What I'm going to try to do, if it's a physical copy I have, I will show you guys the movie while I talk about it. But there are some things like movies I've seen in the theater, movies I've gotten from Redbox or the library, that I won't actually have a physical copy to show you. My plan is hopefully down the line, I will learn how to do some, editing on these videos, and maybe put like a graphic or something on the screen to go along with it. If any of you guys know how to do that and can kind of help me out, that's the plan with these videos, not just me sitting here talking, occasionally holding up movies. I'd like to put the graphic of stuff that I don't have artwork available for. So I'm going to grab my stack here. The first movie that we watched, and this video will take everything I've watched from May 1st up until last night, which would have been May the 14th. Technically, May the 14th. So it'll be everything from then, and I'll do another video early June with what I watched the rest of the month. So the first thing I checked out was Destroyer, starring Nicole Kidman. This was a movie that had a lot of like Oscar buzz at the end of 2018. However, it kind of like disappeared. So usually what happens with Oscar bait type movies is, obviously there are some movies that hold on strong through the Oscar season, but then there's also a handful of movies that are released in December and then they kind of just disappear. So Destroyer was one of those movies. It was not in theaters very long. Nicole Kidman, there was some buzz for getting nominated for Best Actress, but then it kind of just vanished and there was nothing, said about it again. And the movie was okay. It wasn't anything great. Like I said, it dragged in spots. It was kind of just mediocre at points as well. It's very weird. It's mediocre at points as well. Nothing, like I said, nothing that stood out. No supporting, performances that were great. And the other thing I did forget to mention is my grading is on a 5-star scale. So I grade 1 to 5, or I should say half star to 5, and I only use halves. So it's basically a 1 to 10 scale, but I do it out of 5. So Destroyer was a 2.5 for me. Like I said, I don't have a physical copy because I got it from the library on DVD. But the next title I got, I have a physical copy of, and that is The Goofy Movie, or A Goofy Movie, this being the Disney Movie Club exclusive. Goofy Movie was released in 1995, if I am not mistaken. But this just came out recently from Disney Movie Club as a Movie Club exclusive. Goofy Movie was a movie as a kid. I was like 11 when it came out. I really liked it. It features the Powerline storyline, which is the band that Max is a big fan of, and he's embarrassed of his dad, and he's embarrassed of being a goof, and the laugh and everything that goes along with it. He has nightmares about looking like his dad. So also you might know that Pauly Shore does a voice in this movie as well. He's the friend, and I believe his name is Chester. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that was always a highlight to me, the Leaning Tower of Cheesa. So when we watched this, it was me, my girlfriend Bridget, and RJ. It was RJ's first time seeing the movie. He seemed to really enjoy it. It's a fun animated movie. I know some people have asked me what the picture quality is like. I think it looks very good. I did not own the DVD previously, so I can't compare like how much of an upgrade it is. But it is nice picture quality. Definitely nicer than a DVD in my opinion. And it was fun to revisit a Goofy movie. Like I said, it had been a long while since I had seen this. So getting to watch it with RJ for the first time, it was enjoyable. I give it a 3 out of 5. The next thing we checked out, also me, my girlfriend, and RJ watched. I had seen it in the movie theater. They had not seen it yet. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this being the 4K release, and that's how we watched it on 4K. I really love this movie. I loved it in the movie theater. The animation style is phenomenal. I was very glad that it won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. It really deserved it. Just a very unique animation style, and it really made for an enjoyable film. The storyline is great, the writing's great, the humor is great. Spider-Ham, in my opinion, really steals the movie. I hope there is more of Spider-Ham in the sequel when it comes out. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a great movie. If you have not done so, definitely check it out. The picture quality in 4K is pretty awesome. It looks really crisp, and I'm still new to 4K, so there have been movies that I've watched and haven't noticed a heck of a difference. There are other movies like Bumblebee where the 4K was pretty phenomenal looking, and Spider-Ham definitely looks great on 4K. I meant Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, not Spider-Man. Spider-Ham. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, definitely worth checking it out if you haven't already. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. So the next thing was another Bridget, RJ, and I movie. We watch a lot of movies on the weekends when I have RJ. So he picked this one. I told him to pick something from the wall. We were kind of just having a lazy Sunday. We had a really busy day when we were watching this, and he picked this out, and it's a classic. School of Rock, starring Jack Black. If you haven't seen this movie, if you're not a fan of this movie, I'm surprised. Jack Black in this film is hilarious. This came out in 2003, directed by, I want to say Richard Linklater. Did Richard Linklater direct this? Directed by Richard Linklater. Just School of Rock, the music, the story, it's such a great story. Jack Black is awesome as a substitute teacher who's not technically supposed to be a substitute teacher. Playing, what's his name, Dewey? I want to say his character's name is Dewey. I'm not 100% sure. But he pretends to be his roommate, his best friend, Ned Sneebly. And it's just a funny movie. Joan Cusack has a great cameo, or not a cameo, but a small part as the principal of the school. Miranda Cosgrove, who went on to become iCarly, plays the band manager. And I love how the kids in this movie are actually talented musicians, singers. It makes for a really fun, enjoyable movie. There's drama, there's comedy, there's great music, an awesome soundtrack, funny stuff about musical history and kids not knowing, who certain bands are. So School Rock is definitely one that you should check out if you haven't done so already. I give this 4 out of 5 stars, and it's something I can always watch, and I'll pop in if I'm looking for something fun to watch. So the next movie would be Serenity from 2018, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway. I do not have a physical copy. I watched it from the DVD copy I got from the library. This movie I wanted to go see in the movies, but just couldn't make it out when it was in theaters. And it was interesting. It definitely had an intriguing storyline that I wasn't quite sure where it was going. And it's not the most mind-blowing movie. It doesn't have like some kind of crazy, like, this is a must-see. But it was entertaining. It's definitely one that is worth a watch. However, will I buy it? Probably not. Maybe down the line, if it's $1, I would add it to my collection. But it's not something that I would need to go out, buy, something I'm going to watch over and over, because I think after seeing it one time, it's one time is enough in my opinion. So it is a good movie. Matthew McConaughey is excellent in it. Anne Hathaway's character gets to be a little annoying, but it's all kind of part of the movie. The twist, there is a twist, spoiler alert, I guess. I'm not going to say what the twist is, but it's a little bizarre. It's a little too much for me, a little too far-fetched. I feel like they had a great premise. They had a great first and second act, but the third act kind of went a little bananas and just lost a lot of steam. So Serenity, I gave a 3 out of 5 to. I definitely enjoyed it. Is it something I'd revisit anytime soon? Personally, not really, but it was great for a one-time watch. And there are movies that once you see them once, you don't really need to watch them again. I know a lot of people have been talking about Escape Room, and me personally didn't really love the movie. I think I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. There was just a lot wrong with it, and that's not a review I'm doing, but it's one of those movies where I saw in the movies, I have no desire to rewatch it or revisit it. So it just happens with movies, and then there's stuff like School of Rock that I can watch over and over and over, or stuff like Inception that, you see different things, and Wolf of Wall Street. So, Serenity, check it out. Don't know if I'd go out and pay $25 for it on Blu-ray, though. The next thing, a surprising first-time watch. So I'll try to mention if I've seen the movies before, if it's first-time watch for me, and that is When Harry Met Sally. Obviously starring Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. This from 1989, I believe. Yes, 1989. The funny thing about this movie is after watching it, the movie's rated R. Outside of like 3 or 4 uses of the F word and some talk about, sexual relations, this movie is incredibly tame. If this was down to like a 1 F word movie, I definitely see this being PG-13 in a landslide. Like, I can't believe this was rated R 30 years ago. But that's not what this is about. It's about a review of the movie. Did I enjoy it? Yes. I liked a few things about it. It kept a nice tight run time. It's like 95 minutes, so it's an hour and a half. It doesn't overstay like a lot of romantic comedies where there necessarily has to be a couple falls in love, and as they're falling in love, something awful happens, and then there's the 30 minutes of, oh, what is he going to do without me, and what am I going to do without? No, it was, their story, how it progressed over many years, and it was entertaining. It didn't drag on. It wasn't like a false ending like a lot of the movies have. Like, they have an ending, but then there's another 20 minutes of just garbage. It's a nice, tight hour and a half runtime. It's a realistic love story, which I love about it also. So many romantic comedies are so far-fetched and so just like, that would never happen. That's ridiculous. Come on, be real. Khaleesi's saying hi to you guys. Just be real about it. And when Harry Met Sally does that, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I would definitely watch it again. Saw the classic deli scene, which, of course I had seen numerous times before, but got to see it in context with the movie. The movie's fun. It's a good time. Definitely a good, enjoyable romantic comedy. So the next movie, this is one of the things I had mentioned in the beginning of the video. I have a few different things I want to do, and one of which I want to call like the surprise of the week. Excuse me for 1 second. Khaleesi is shaking the camera like crazy. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. She jumped up on the rack that I record on. It was shaking like crazy. So the next thing, like I said, it's one of two things I'm going to do every video. So normally I would say it's the surprise or shock of the week. I think I'm going to go with the surprise of the week, but it's not technically a week. It's 2 weeks, so I'm going to call it the surprise of the video. And that's either going to be a movie that I was expecting to love, and it was awful, something I've not really heard a lot of, and heard a lot about, and go into it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And the movie that I'm choosing for this period is The Joneses. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys have heard of this movie. It's from 2010. It stars Demi Moore and David Duchovny. And basically, it's about a family that gets paid to promote products and get people to buy products. They live in a very high-scale neighborhood, and I can't really or don't want to say too much about it, but my girlfriend Bridget definitely said it was an interesting movie. I kind of asked, like, is it a comedy, is it a drama? And she goes, sort of, but you kind of have to go into it. It's more of a character, not a character study, but like basically, a view on modern living, without getting into too much details. Like I said, it's a very interesting movie. I would definitely revisit it. I definitely would recommend it to people. It's tough to say too much about it because I don't want to give away too much about the movie. I think some people said they found this at Dollar Trees. I ended up getting this at Cash Converters for $1 a while ago. But like I said, it's from 2010, starring Demi Moore, David Duchovny, Amber Heard's also in it. I give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It really was just a good, interesting movie. Definitely thought-provoking, 2 points. It's worth seeing. Definitely, if you come across it cheap, I would definitely pick it up and check it out. So that's The Joneses. The next thing is something, well, that was a first-time watch, obviously, if I was surprised by it. The surprise of the video is always going to be something I'd never seen before, because obviously if it surprised me. So the next thing was a first-time watch for me. I had never seen it. I have a list of movies. It's my to-be watch list, and there's hundreds of movies on it. So with a wall like this, like, I find myself like picking a shelf out, and then from that point, like, I'm like, I have to pick out a movie on this shelf to watch. Or I'll try to narrow it down by like a shelf and then left or right to try to help me pick out something. So this, I was just looking at the beginning of the alphabet, and it kind of jumped out, and Bridget said we should check it out. And that is Admission. She had seen it, but kind of recommended it. This starring Paul Rudd and Tina Fey. I believe this is from 2015, if I'm not mistaken. 2013. So this is about basically a admissions officer who works at, I'm totally blanking, where did she work? Princeton. And Paul Rudd is in charge of this, like one of those unique, what do they refer to it as? It's like a unique, free-spirited school. And he basically tells Tina Fey that she really needs to meet a particular student of his that's played by Nat Wolff, who was in Paper Towns, I believe it was. He was in Perks of Being a Wallflower. I could totally be off on that. And I should probably take more notes for these videos, but this is the first one, and we're kind of winging it this time. So I went into this one really, expecting it to be funny and enjoyable, and it wasn't very funny. It's more of a dramedy with a little bit of a D and a lot of drama. There's a few plot points that don't really go anywhere, and it really kind of bothered me because they were main plot points in the movie. But I just didn't love this one. I ended up giving it a 1.5 out of 5. Probably not something I would end up checking out anytime in the near future. That's admission. Next would be a title I got at Dollar Tree that I bought solely for the cast, and that is The Longest Week, starring Jason Bateman, Olivia Wilde, Billy Crudup, and Jenny Slate. So I bought this solely based on the cast. This movie is pretty bad. As you guys might know, this would be what I classify as hot trash. You guys know, if you watch Dave Cinema Sickness's videos, I always mention hot trash. This is hot trash. This is something I watched. I decided immediately upon it ending that it was getting traded in to Pam's. I'm actually glad I'm recording this video now, because this weekend this will be going back to Pam's and it will no longer be in my collection. That is something I will also be doing. If there's something I've never watched before that I have in my collection that I bought and it's not good, something I would never see myself rewatching again, my girlfriend didn't like it, it is going to Pam's. It is being sold. So The Longest Week, definitely going back to Pam's. Just like a very, all the characters are unlikable. The story's just, it's not good. I gave it a 1 out of 5, but it is just not enjoyable. It seemed people were leaving comments on Instagram and Facebook when I posted this. They kind of felt the same way about it. They bought it at Dollar Tree and they did not like it as well. So that is The Longest Week. The next thing I saw was actually the first movie that my girlfriend Bridget and I saw using our AMC A-List account. So if you don't know, really fast, AMC A-List is when you pay $23 a month. You can see up to 3 movies a week per month. Well, 3 movies a week per week. You pay $23 a month. You can see movies in 3D, IMAX. You can do reservations, so it's much better than MoviePass. It's definitely more expensive than MoviePass. I was paying $10 a month for my MoviePass, but this is much more convenient. We're actually booking our tickets to go see Detective Pikachu this weekend. We're also booking tickets to go see John Wick 3 early next week. We'll be able to, once all the movies come out towards the end of May, there's like 6 movies coming out that I want to see. We'll buy our tickets for those, and it's $23 a month. So if you go to the movies as much as we do, it's definitely worth checking out. And that movie is The Hustle. That's not The Hustle. This is the funny movie and the better version of The Hustle. Anyway, if you guys don't know, The Hustle is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels starring Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway. And boy, is it awful. This gets my other award that I'm going to be doing in videos, Hot Trash of the Week. So The Hustle was absolutely awful, was not funny. Anne Hathaway has this terrible accent, which her character really does not need. Rebel Wilson plays the same character she's played in every movie. She's very much facing Melissa McCarthy syndrome, where Melissa McCarthy's first couple roles were funny because it was new and fresh for her, and Rebel Wilson, it was the same way. She was funny in Bridesmaids, she was funny in Pitch Perfect, and then it got very tired and very annoying because it's the same character over and over. Melissa McCarthy was able to turn that around recently with Can You Ever Forgive Me, which if you guys have not seen, do yourselves a favor and find it and check it out. She was excellent in the movie. The movie is very, very well done. It's very good. She's great in it. But it's also not her typical character of just a bigger woman who uses the F word a bunch and falls down. Rebel Wilson's basically the same thing, except she doesn't use the F word as much, and she's usually in PG-13 movies. Stuff like Isn't It Romantic, Pitch Perfect 2 and 3, How to Be Single, all of them are pretty much garbage. It is not very well done. The Hustle is the same way. It is brutal. The story is, like I said, a total retread of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, except Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway are no Michael Caine and Steve Martin. So, Hot Trash of the Week, The Hustle. 1.5, half a star out of 5 stars. It is absolutely awful. It is brutal. It is tough to sit through. Apparently, older women love it because they were laughing like it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. But I sat there and just did this. Yes, that was all I laughed. It happened once during the movie, and it was something so stupid that I guess I needed to laugh at something to feel my face smile instead of just go. Anyway, after The Hustle, the next thing we watched was The Invention of Lying, starring Ricky Gervais and Jennifer Garner. It is crazy the amount of stars in this movie. Rob Lowe, as you can see, Louis C.K., who a lot of people don't want to speak about, so we'll cover him up. Jonah Hill's in this movie, Tina Fey, Edward Norton, Bobby Moynihan, just a lot of small cameos. The thing about this movie is, it's basically in a world where nobody can tell a lie, and that's fine, but that's not exactly what this movie does. It's basically like everybody needs to be bluntly honest and cannot tell a lie. So a girl walks up to another girl and says, "I'm intimidated by you." Would she even say anything? It's almost like their inner thoughts need to be spoken out loud. So it's like what men want, but it's combined with you cannot tell a lie and you have to speak everything out loud. And it starts out, the first 40 minutes are very enjoyable in this movie. And then it takes a turn. Ricky Gervais's mom in the movie is very sick and she's in a hospital and she's scared about what happens after you die. And the movie takes a very different turn. It takes kind of I don't want to say it's a religious twist, but he basically makes up God and he makes up the 10 Commandments. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And it was good. It wasn't something that was great. The pacing is pretty poor in this, especially for an hour and 40 minutes. The second half really dragged along. And the conclusion, I really don't want to spoil it. The conclusion just angers me because I just think it's very far-fetched how the movie ends, especially based on everything Ricky Gervais does up until that point. So that's all I'll say. It's very vague, but if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But like I said, the first half is enjoyable. I give this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next thing we watched was also with AMC A-List, and that is The Intruder. The Intruder is your typical, and it seems like once or twice a year there's like an African-American led revenge thriller movie. Stuff like When the Bough Breaks, The Perfect Man, and they're always like $10 million budgets. They make $15 to $20 million their first weekend, so they make profit, and that's why they keep making them, and I understand that. I think that's why Tyler Perry has made so many Medea movies, and certain audiences, it's a niche audience movie. So The Intruder looks a little different and definitely interests me. Dennis Quaid was in the movie, and Dennis Quaid was really enjoyable. He almost had a very Nicolas Cage-esque role in the movie, in my opinion. He was a crazy person. He played a crazy person really well, but the story is just so awful. The acting is terrible. I kind of, the plot is pretty easy to pick up on what's going to happen. And, like I said, with AMC A-List, it's probably going to lead us to see a lot more movies that we normally would not pay to go see. This being one of them, but there was nothing else playing, and we had a Sunday afternoon with nothing to do, so we went and saw The Intruder. So I gave it a 1 out of 5. The next thing we watched was a Redbox movie on Blu-ray, and that is Happy Death Day to You. Really liked the first Happy Death Day movie. I thought it was very entertaining. Jessica Rothe is outstanding in these movies. She plays the lead actress. She's just very likable. She's funny. You hate her sometimes, but she just really shines as this character. Happy Death Day to You starts out, and after about 20 minutes, I looked over at Bridget and I was like, this is really weird. And there's lots of I don't even want to say. There's elements of the movie that seem that like all movies are doing it, so it kind of was like a little much for me. It's like, oh, I'm sick of these. Like, we're using this as a plot point in all the movies that are out now. So, happy Death Day to you. The other thing that I found interesting, and if you guys have seen it, leave a comment down below on your thoughts. But there's a scene with multiple suicides, and I'm surprised that there wasn't more flack for this movie when it was in theaters. It almost glorifies suicide, and it really kind of bothered me to a point. Like, why didn't we hear anything about this? But yeah, it kind of took me out of the movie a little. It's earlier in the movie, so it was decent. It wasn't anything great. Definitely not as good as the first movie. I give it a 2 out of 5. And the next thing I watched was Return to Oz. We actually watched this last night. This apparently is cherished by a lot of people that saw it during their childhood numerous times. My girlfriend and her sisters included, a few people on Facebook. So I was curious going into this movie, and I'm going to say it's really, really bizarre. It is dark for a kids movie. It's from 1985. This, I guess, follows more closely with the books from what I was being told. So Return to Oz, as you can see, it's another Disney Movie Club exclusive title. It's very weird. It's actually, the lead actress is, I want to say her name's pronounced Fairuza Balk from The Craft. It's her as a little girl. This was made in 1985. So I personally did not like this movie. I'm not a huge fan of fantasy films. Like, I've never seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I really don't have any desire to see them. I've actually never seen Dark Crystal or The Labyrinth. But I watched this. My girlfriend, picked this out, and we watched it. I actually fell asleep and had to rewatch the middle of the movie. And I personally didn't like it. I can see where a lot of people, it would be very nostalgic for them watching it now. But all I could say is, how weird is this thing? I can't believe this was for kids. But I guess, I watched Howard the Duck when I was a little kid, so that's pretty crazy. Return to Oz, I gave a 1.5 out of 5 stars. Probably going to get some flack for that. The last movie I saw, we actually watched right before shooting this video. We're actually going to watch the second one after shooting my next video, and that is John Wick. I'm going to say it. It's my favorite Keanu Reeves movie. John Wick is a phenomenal revenge action flick. Keanu Reeves is amazing in this movie. The music, the score in this movie are awesome. The violence, the action, it's just it's a simple story. Guy's wife passes away.